119 people on right now. So yes, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Marquita Smith, and I thank you so much for joining. Right now, we are still loading up and just awaiting the congressman's arrival. Um, this is going to be we're in very interesting times right now. And I can't thank you enough for coming out just for this segment. There's going to be many more coming ahead, making sure that we can counter-react what the supposedly leadership at the top is doling out. But we as wise citizens and as concerned citizens, we know how we're going to counteract this situation, especially dealing with our Social Security benefits. I am a senior myself, so I'm on the front line trying to protect this. I just pretty much became a senior, and I can't believe that in the times that we're living in today, what we're having to experience. But we're going to overcome this. So just speak your mind. Any issues, everyone will be able to be heard as well.
Marquita, can you record this? I mean, I could probably hit the record button. It would probably be good for Congressman Davis's site.
Let me find out. Okay.
So at this, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sharita Logan. I serve as the district director here in the Congressman's office. We will not be recording, and the reason we will not record, some people are feeling very squeamish about the recordings. And so for the other town halls that we've had, we've not been able to record. So for that reason, we will not record today. We want the people to be able to feel free to say what they want to say, express what they want to express during this time. We've invited a few experts to participate in the call who had to decline participating with us on today for different reasons. And so we will not record this time. So
okay, thank you. Thank you, Sharita, for clarifying.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And again, as Marquita said, let's welcome everybody on board. Today we're going to listen to, the purpose is to listen to you all. The purpose is to get how you're feeling, how you're being affected. We're looking for real stories, and we're going to give those stories to our leadership in Congress so that they will know what it is that we know. The purpose is to empower you all with information and to dispel any myths, but to clarify what's taking place. And the real thing is to listen to you all to get what you're feeling. We've been experiencing quite a few phone calls here in the office since this issue developed. And because of that, it's one of the reasons that we're having this town hall. And the other reason is so that we can come up with an action plan after the town hall on what we can give back to you all that can be implemented. We're going to put our phone numbers and our emails in the chat box, and that way you can message us either after the town hall or something that you have to say or convey if you're not able to convey it or say it on this particular message. On this particular meeting. And so.
And that's written to everyone.
I just said, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, sir.
How do I type message?
If you're not speaking right now, could you please mute your phones or mute your Zoom call so we won't hear your background?
Annette, you may have to just turn up your phone. That might help you hear.
Okay, thank you all very much. So Marquita Smith, who's our Deputy District Director, is our case
I'm on.
who processes. Jesse, can you please mute yourself so we won't hear your background? Marquita helps process Social Security cases, claims, issues.
That's Sarita.
Beg your pardon? Okay. She helps process the casework for Social Security. And so she is the person that you would talk to or interact with for those issues. She's been doing it for quite some time, so she knows how to get that done.
Is that okay?
No,
Huh?
if you don't want us to hear you, that's not okay. If you want us to hear you, then that's okay. There you go. Now you're doing it. Thank you. So we've had the leadership at Social Security that we've interacted with for the last 20 years, who has retired for one reason or another, and who really understood the process and was able to connect all the dots for processing Social Security matters. But that leadership is no longer there at that level. Each federal office has a congressional officer that we interact with, and that's how we process your cases or connect you with the federal government. And so we have not yet gotten a new person put in place that has the tenure or the knowledge for this area to replace the person that we lost. But yet we are still able to process Social Security cases. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Marquita, and then she will open up the floor. Please raise your hand if you have something to ask or something to say or share, and then we will recognize you in the order in which we see those hands come up.
Okay, thank you, Sharita. Thank you for clarifying how the process goes. As Sharita explained, I've been with the congressman for over 27 years, just as long as he's been in Congress. So I'm very familiar with Social Security benefits. I've always handled his Social Security issues. And as it was stated, I'll put my information down in the chat box. I see the congressman entering the room right now. Therefore, I'll let him have a seat, and then he will give you an introduction, and then we will open the floor for any and everyone that have any suggestions, ideas. You're welcome. Thank you.
One thing, just make sure if people want to raise their hand, you press the reactions, and then you'll see a thing for raise hand.
Where's that?
All right. Well, let me thank everybody for tuning in, checking in, and being part of a discussion. Let me apologize for being a trifle late, but I was good late because I was finishing up an event at the nursing home over on Washington Boulevard that they do every year. And of course, it was just a wonderful, wonderful event that we've been doing for about 35 or 40 years. As a matter of fact, I was pleased to note while I was there that I had brought President Bill Clinton to that nursing home to interact with people a few years ago when his wife was running for president. And so they also had good lunch. And of course, I couldn't leave without at least tasting what they had. But we have this series of meetings and discussions to try and, one, understand as best that we can what is going on in our nation, the greatest country that I know anything about on the face of the earth. but it's also a country that is always undergoing change. There are efforts and concerns to change some things. I'm not totally sure that I'm aware of what all of those are, but I do know that there's a great deal of conversation surrounding reorganization of our government. That is, reorganizing how our government is situated. There are some people in our country, especially the president and some of his advisors, who think that our government have too many people working for it. Therefore, they are downsizing staff. They're also of the opinion that staffers are not doing as much work as they could and should be doing. And that if we reduce some of those staffs, it would force others to do more work and you get more bang for your buck. There are others, like myself, who believe that we may very well, and I don't have any may unto it, that we're overdoing it. That you can't get the services that you need from Social Security offices if they are closed, if they are shut down, or if they don't have enough staff to handle the requests. And so when you downsize or reduce, yes, you don't have to have as much resource in order to carry out what you want to do, but you're also denying people or you're forcing people to have to wait much longer in order to get a response or in order to get an answer. I'm not sure that that's what the American people want. And you also have to ask the question, what is the ultimate purpose other than saying that we are reducing costs? Why? Because we don't want to have to generate as much money. And we don't then have to charge the richest people in the world a fair share of the taxes that they ought to be paying. And you want to, when I say that, take from the average ordinary people in terms of the services that they could receive to prevent these individuals from having to pay the appropriate taxes. I'll throw out some other concepts in a minute, but I see we've got a whole handful of questions already up. So why don't we go to Richard Lowe? Richard, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. And
Yes.
so I applied for Social Security the first day I was eligible. My birthday is in January 2025. So that's when I turned 69. So I decided to apply for it to start in February and sent in the application online. And here I am in April. I have never heard back from anybody. I have never gotten any inquiries. I've never gotten any reply emails. I did receive the official automated acknowledgement that my application was received. I've tried calling the Social Security office. I don't know how many times, maybe 100 times. There is not even a wait queue now for the Social Security line. Nobody ever answers. Nobody replies to my emails. In other words, everything is falling into a black hole right now, and I'm now at my wit's end. I don't know when I will ever be able to collect my Social Security.
Congressman,
Richard,
can I?
now let me try and answer first. and we'll get any other thoughts about it. But I want to ask Richard, what do you think could help your situation?
I need for somebody to be able to get through to the Social Security office and tell me whether my application has a problem or my my Social Security payments are going to stop by a certain date. I've not received anything back. I've not heard back from anything, from anybody.
Now, let me ask you, if you should get to the Social Security office, but if there is no staff person there, or there are no staff persons there for them to get to, then your application is just there lying in wait
Yep, I think that's what's
until
happening.
somebody ultimately gets to it and end up dealing with what need to be done, which
Yeah.
helps to make the point that if you don't have the availability of staff, and if the office is closed or shut down or in turmoil, you're going to still be waiting. And even though my person who works Social Security in my office can make the same calls and try to cajole whoever she manages to get to say, take care of Mr. Richard Lowe. If there's nobody there to do it, you don't get any help until ultimately help will come. So thank you for sharing that experience with us. And I think you're helping to make the point that I am attempting to make.
Congressman, Congressman, can I just interject for a minute? Mr. Lowe, if I left my information on the chat room, if you reach out to our office, then I'll explain how we can proceed with that process. And more than likely, we can have your process expedited. But if you
Okay.
reach out to me, my
But
information.
if there's nobody there to expedite it, how are you going to expedite it? If there's nobody there to expedite, or if the office is shut down, you can't get blood out of a turnip.
I understand what you're saying, Congressman, but
From a staff perspective, I agree you'll do the best that you can, but you can't solve Mr. Richard's problem from a staff perspective. That will not solve Mr. Lowe's problem. If there's no staff, if the money is not appropriated and the money is not available to supply the necessary people, then he'll just have to wait and wait and wait and be frustrated and be filled with anxiety and hoping that he will eventually get his situation taken care of.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
that's
now,
the point
yeah,
that
it's
I'm making.
I really need that money and I'm not getting anything. And I'm at my wit's end as to, you know, what's going to happen. It's money I earned that I deserve and I can't get it.
Well, we're going to try to help you to the best of our ability in terms of interacting with whoever we can find, whenever we can find them. And hopefully that will move it a bit, but it won't solve the problem of not only you, but other people who are having the same problem. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Morgan.
Marquita, can you put your information into the chat so that Richard can see it? Maybe it's written down. Richard, there's a chat that has that information that you can read if you look at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Morgan. Morgan, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Go right ahead. And if you speak a little more directly into your system, we'd probably be able to hear you a little better.
Okay. Why Trump's being allowed to just fire people from their jobs. Like, where's the oversight? How are these people going to get rehired? How are we, like, what's being done to stop him? Why is he just being allowed to basically steal people's money and not allow them access to their Social Security?
Well, it seems the problem with this business of downsizing and the business of reorganizing government, I am not certain that enough research, enough scrutiny, enough look at what is actually needed to be able to make those kind of decisions with a high level of validity. I'm saying I've always believed very strongly in what I call the work ethic. I've been working full time since I was 19 years old, every day. Haven't missed but a few during all the 50 more years. So I'm a firm believer in work and doing your job and doing what you're supposed to do. And so if the analysis has not been made to be accurate in terms of what is actually needed to do the work, to get the work done, then you're doing a disservice to the recipients or the beneficiaries of that work. And I know there are people who are saying that federal employees have gotten lazy, that they've created these systems where they don't really work as much as they should. And there are some people who are supposed to be, teleworking, and they're not really teleworking, they're doing something else when they should be at work. And as a person who has trained individuals to work and been involved with helping build morale and helping to convince people that they ought to give a day's work for a day's pay, I understand some of that kind of thinking, but I do think that there has been overreach here, and just downsizing for the sake of downsizing is not the best and most appropriate way to treat the citizens of the United States of America. And I don't think that's the best approach. Whatever is actually needed, we need to make sure that it is in fact available. And nothing is more important to people than being able to receive their Social Security benefits on time and as quickly as they can be received. So thank you, and I think that's what we have to do, is make sure. Kevin, are you there? Kevin in Oak Park?
Yes, I am.
Go right
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. I was typing a message to Richard. I'll finish it in a second, Richard. Well, first of all, the rules now are very confusing. The second thing is we're stuck with this. Unfortunately, we are stuck with this for at least a couple of years. Nobody is fighting back, and unfortunately, Congressman Davis, you're in the wrong party to fight back.
All right.
The thing that we also need is we need clarification, and anything that we can do to help ourselves in getting information. It would be nice to have the Social Security website have a lot more information about just a frequently asked questions or a bunch of questions, so that we can take the burden off the few Social Security people we have. And by the way, that was a stupid cut. Any business that ran as efficiently as Social Security would be making serious bank, and I would be investing a lot of money in it.
Well, I think you've made 2 points. One, I don't quite agree with the party business. because Social Security is a benefit that individuals should be receiving no matter what their political persuasion. And of course, you know, I think that the party I'm a part of is the party of the people, but that's all right. I mean, we could debate that. I think you were right in terms of putting as much information on the website so that people understand as much of what is going on as they can. And if you look at the analysis, I agree again, Social Security has been a great functioning agency or entity, has a great deal of respect among those who evaluate and analyze the effectiveness of the work that is being done in the workplace. And I really appreciate your comments relative to that, because that is accurate and jives with the information that I've read and seen. So I thank you for that. And let's go to Jesse and see what Jesse wants to say. Jesse, are you there? Jesse? Well, Jesse is getting
Hello, how you doing?
ready.
Hello?
Let's go to Annette.
Hello,
Yes.
I'm here with Jesse, so I'm gonna let Jesse ask his question.
Okay, Jesse, go right ahead.
Well, Danny, if you know I don't favorite stuff first.
So it's important that people understand that the way Social Security is operating is not a bad process. In point of fact, they need more people and they need more resources, not less. The issue of closing offices when people who are on Social Security, by the way, the definition of that is you're old and you can't do things on the computer or get up to a remote location for to see an officer. So there should be more resources, because the older you get, the harder it is. And of course, you might be sick or disabled. So where's the logic in these efficiencies? Because many older people can't even operate this town hall meeting, let alone Social Security.
Well, I certainly wouldn't argue anything that you've stated in terms of, I believe, and I don't know about other people, but I believe that you can determine the greatness of a society by how well it treats its elderly, how well it treats its young, and how well it treats those who have difficulty caring for themselves. And that if you're scoring high with all of those categories of individuals that I just mentioned, then I think you are indeed making America great. And I think that's what makes a society great. That's what will make America great. And I appreciate you for saying it, because I agree with it 100%. And if we're going to make those groups whole and treat them with all the dignity, respect, and help that they should be treated, then we have to allocate the resources. As I said earlier, you can't do things without the resources that are necessary. Just like you can't get blood out of a turnip, taxation is the price that we pay for a civilized society. And those billionaires and individuals with lots of resources get it off without paying their fair share of the taxes. And that's what much of this is about who is going to pay for what we do. Who's going to pay? And I know the president said we ought not be talking about these contributions and special things for different people, but Frederick Douglass, who was a Black guy, Houston, one of the greatest philosophers that I've ever entertained, was fond of saying that he knew one thing if he didn't know anything else. And that is, in this society, you may not get everything that you pay for, but you most certainly will pay for everything that you get. And if you don't pay one way, you will pay another way. And so if beneficiaries are not getting their benefits, some of them won't be able to go to the drugstore and get their medication in time. And what it really means is that they may even die because they didn't get what they needed to keep living. So why don't we go to Rick?
No, this is Annette.
Annette, yes, come on.
I have a quick question. One is, I'm a little concerned about how, or the question is this in the president's power to do this? When I read the Constitution, legislative branch comes first. And I'm a little concerned about what our recourse is.
The interpretation of the Constitution rests with the courts. I'm saying all of us have the ability, but when I was in the 8th grade, they taught us that the 3 different branches of government had different functions: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judiciary branch.
Yes.
And the judiciary interprets the law. The judiciary says what the president can do and cannot do, and whether or not the president is following the law. And so the Supreme Court is the ultimate in determining what the power of the president is and what the president can do. There seem to have been some instances where the president has said one thing and the Supreme Court has said something else. And the president went ahead to do what the president said and not what the Supreme Court said. And in some of those instances, the president has in fact kind of stepped back a little bit and did what the Supreme Court said you can and cannot do. So we have to keep expressing ourselves in terms of what we think and what we feel and what we think ought to be happening. But the interpretation ultimately becomes the Supreme Court. Other courts say things at their level, but it is the ultimate with the Supreme Court of the United States of America. All right. Now then, we'll go to Jesse.
Again?
Yep, go right ahead.
Well, Congressman, as you recall, I wrote the book, Pay Yourself First, and it's all about people saving and investing for themselves and preparing for the future. Social Security, everybody has heard, is running out of money. So it's really our responsibility to look out after our own purses. What can we do to make sure that we have enough money to survive? You know, Social Security is one thing, but then there's Medicare and Medicaid. And last week you were talking about the veterans and the veterans benefits. This administration really needs for you, the Black Caucus, the Democratic Party, and everyone to stand up and make sure that the welfare of America doesn't turn into some kind of kingdom where some president is some kind of god or something. What are you going to do about this?
Well, let me tell you, and I agree with you in one sense that government is the policeman of society, that the government set rules and says, here is what we need to do. But I also know that there are some individuals who, when they are born, are so far behind others until it ain't funny. And if we just left to them to follow the rules, they will never, ever even come close to catching up. That's like saying to a disadvantaged person who want to run track to get out on the field with a pair of hip boots on, and somebody else got on a pair of Nikes, and you're already 2 blocks behind. You will never, ever have a chance to catch up. And if government does not intervene and provide some assistance, I didn't create any of these situations that I'm talking about. None of us created them. And we can't do nothing about the fact that they existed. I did not create the situation for my ancestors to be brought to this country in the holds of ships, packed together like sardines in a can, and subjected to the most humane treatment, inhumane treatment one could ever imagine. But I can try to do something about it. I can try to do something to change it. Can't change what went on in the ship. Can't change what went on in the castles. Can't change what went on in the plantations and the tobacco fields and the cotton fields. But I can try to change what is happening today. And so when we come with programmatic ideas, my father got Social Security, worked all his life. One of the hardest working individuals I've ever seen or known. His Social Security check was $536 a month. That's what he got. He lived a long life. He was 92. And he was also fortunate that he could manage off of that, because when I came home on the weekends, he lived with me. And during the week when I was gone, he lived with my sister, so he didn't have to worry, and he could manage with that 530. But he worked all of his life. My mother would say, like a dog. And sometimes he'd come in from work and she'd say, HD, you sure look bad. She'd say, you look like you've been working. He said, well, I have been working pretty hard. My point is, that all of us don't start equal in this great country of ours. Some of us start way behind. And I believe that the country has some obligation to try and even the playing field, try and even the environment, try and create to every person his or her chance, their golden opportunity to become whatever it is that their talent, ambition, hard work combines to make them. And that is the promise of America. And I believe that. And I believe that that's what we ought to do. And I appreciate your position. I appreciate your direction and your question. And let's go to Teresa Hale.
Hello.
Teresa?
Hi.
Yes.
My thing is, I'm on Social Security, and I definitely need my check. But I think that the Republicans are working to make some of these departments not run correctly or be a problem, just like the post office, just like Medicare and Social Security, so that they can privatize them and make their rich people, even rich friends, even richer. My thing is, what can be done? And it's just, there doesn't seem to be anything being done or the outcry that we need to hear from our representatives. And that's been, that's the problem. We don't hear that outcry. You know, we can't, the way that he's moving, we can't wait for 2 years.
With 30 and 40,000 people coming out to events and activities and people marching around.
You know, I mean, within
offices.
the things that can be voted down, things that can be brought up, bills or anything that can be done in the Congress.
If you're not in charge, you don't decide which bills get
You know
brought
what,
up.
even though you're not in charge, you can make life difficult for
You're
them
making
in any way
noise.
possible.
Well, if you're not in charge, how do you get a bill on the floor to debate?
Mitch McConnell was in the minority and managed to get 2 Supreme Court justices appointed.
Thank you.
He wasn't in the minority. No, you gotta be honest about the system. And
Well, you know about the system, but it just seems
you gotta
like
be honest.
we need to hear,
honest.
you know, you all really be
If you
united.
got 30 and 40,000 people turning out to rallies and anti-Trump rallies and anti-this rallies.
Were you
there? Let me just finish.
Yeah, but I just want to know if you were there. I didn't see you there. I've been at many of these.
I've been to so many, I couldn't even count them all.
Haven't heard you.
I can't be in New York and California.
Right here
in Chicago.
Chicago and Oak Park.
Yeah, I'm in Chicago. I've had so many, if I went to count them, we'd be here all afternoon.
They have been really working on a long game. They've been working on a long game, and we're not working on you know, it just seems like we're not working on the long game. And they've been working on this, getting, you know, judges in place and doing different things.
You think we don't work on that?
We don't hear about it.
Democrats don't work on that. How do you think we got?
That's what we want to hear. What that long game is. That's
Let me just ask you.
That's what we're here to hear.
How do you
what
think
the game is? That's what we
think we got it. We certainly didn't get it from Republicans. We didn't get none of this stuff from the Republicans.
But that's what we want to know is what is the long game? We understand that you have the same, that you share the same values. We want to hear what that long game is. What is
long game? The long game is to get back in control so that the decisions that are made represent the thinking and needs of the people. You think Democrats aren't doing that?
We don't hear. That's why we're here, because we want to hear
That's
how
right.
it's being done, what the step is today, the step is tomorrow, the step next week, to get that, to enact that. That's why we're here listening to you today, to hear what that plan is.
Well, I know
Exactly.
you're frustrated
Yes.
and filled with anxiety, but Democrats have not said they're giving up. We're giving up. We're not giving up.
Congressman Davis, what we're looking for is the Democrat Project 2025. That's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
Well,
There you go. Yes. 2025 Democrats. Republicans already had theirs.
I don't think Democrats want a Project 25 except the restoration of programmatic thoughts and ideas. What Democrats want is for the wealthiest people in the United States of America to pay their fair share of taxes.
We'll make that happen.
That's what Democrats want. That's what Democrats are advocating. That's what Democrats are doing.
That sounds great. What's the plan?
We agree.
The plan. That's what we want to hear.
The plan is to get as many Democrats elected as you can get elected every time there is an opportunity, and when there is no opportunity, to create
nothing.
No, I'm not
if
ready.
we wait until
November,
if we wait until November of 2026, there is going to be too much damage to reverse.
Right.
Well, you wouldn't sort of think that anybody is waiting till November of 2026. You can't have an election until there is an election. But all the things that you do leading to elections, Democrats are doing all
What are those things?
of those
Verbalize
things.
what those things are then. That's what we're here to hear. What are those things?
What are we doing on the floor of the House?
Nothing.
Democrats are debating every time the House opens, but Democrats are not in charge of the floor of the House, but Democrats are debating. If you're talking about the same house I look to every day.
It's only one house.
But you can't be you cannot be powerless. There have to be things when the Republicans were in the minority.
If the Republicans thought that Democrats were being powerless, they never would have pulled back the nomination of Stefanik to be an ambassador and give up her seat in the legislature because they were afraid that Democrats might win it and they don't want to run that risk. And Republicans have not been able to pass legislative initiatives in the House without some serious negotiation with the Democrats who are there, even though they are the majority in both parts of the legislature, in the House and the Senate. I guess the only thing that I'm really saying is that Democrats are not giving up by any stretch of imagination. I mean, these thousands of people, Democrats are generating those.
But your constituents don't feel it. We are here. We do not feel that the
Some
Democrats
of my constituents don't feel it.
We don't feel it. We don't.
A lot of us
don't see it. We don't feel it. We need to know what the plan is and to feel it and to see the action and the next step so that we know that this won't continue, because it is continuing. It's continuing every day.
Yes.
You know, Representative Davis, this is Willie Thomas. And what I want to say is that Al Green seemed to be on fire to get him out of office because of what he's doing. Why isn't it that every politician in office can't rally around it and get him impeached. Because if you don't do it, we all gonna suffer. I am also on Social Security, and I don't want to lose it. I spent 49 plus years of my life working, and I don't want to lose this. It belongs to me. It was like money in a bank, and now we're allowing this fascist up there to destroy it. Why isn't everybody rallying around Al Green and giving the votes that needed to impeach him?
I don't know any legislative body where if you are the minority in that legislative body, that you decide what goes on the agenda. There may be some, and there may be some way to do it. I don't know.
Congressman Davis, can I say something? Hello?
Yes.
Hello, this is Migdalia. Congressman Davis, can I say something, please?
Yes.
Okay, this is just a thought.
These people tripping.
Okay, you know.
Could we just let this person do theirs and then we'll get to the next one? Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, I'm just saying that what these people are talking about is true. That the longer this lingers on, it is going to get a whole lot worse. I was just thinking that Donald Trump, he's big and bad when he is with his goons, or we want to call them croonies, or gangster croonies. Why don't the Supreme Court get rid of his croonies? And then that way Donald Trump won't, or should I say Donald McDonald won't be as big and bad.
Well, you mentioned the Supreme Court.
Right. But I mean, if, because it seems like it's taking I am also on Social Security, and I'm dealing with depression, very serious depression. And it seems like the Supreme Court is taking forever to find fault to get rid of Donald Trump. Okay, what I am saying is attack the ISIS, those people there are putting citizens, in jail. Attack them. Go after, the Republicans, because like I said, it is going to get worse. He had this all planned out. That's why he paroled the J6, because he has it all planned out. Go after Donald Trump's, gangster mob. And then, then he will, because, like I said, he's all big and bad, only because, he got all these gangster, friends of his that are making him also big and bad.
Okay, but you know that the Supreme Court does have a majority of individuals on it who would be classified or defined as conservatives and Republicans. You do.
What I am trying to say is the only reason why Donald McDonald seems so high and mighty is because he assumes that the Supreme Court can't touch him. Okay? So go after these, you know, croonies. Go
All right,
after the croonies.
we hope the court, we're
small.
urging the courts to hold him back some. And the courts in some instances have ruled on what we would call and what I would call the rule of law, that they've upheld what the law says in some instances, but they've also upheld what President Trump said in some instances that I don't think is the rule of law. But let's go to Mary. Mary, are you there?
Yes, Congressman Davis. I wanted to know, do you have an idea of how many of your colleagues your Republican representatives who are telling you that they're against Trump? Do you have a number of people that are secretly telling you they don't believe in what he's doing? Because I think they need to be pressured to resign by the Republican voters. I mean, if we go pressure them, they don't care. We're not voting for them, but they need to be pressured, especially by the Republican voters who are scared of losing their Social Security. They need to resign.
All the Republicans,
Could I finish?
We let Mary finish.
Could I finish? And I was speaking to Congressman Davis. We need them to resign, and this way the Democrats can get back in there now, not in 2 years, now, so we can have the majority. But we need to know who are these Republican representatives in Congress who are scared to speak up. They need to be pressured to resign or to have a spine.
Well, in Illinois, Mary, there are 14 Democrats and 3 Republicans. One Democrat has actually been going into Republican areas and holding town hall discussion. Representative Caston has done 2 that he told me he was going to be doing. The rest of the communities that have Republicans in Illinois are not close to where we are at all. And so I don't know that other Democrats from the big urban area around Cook County have been going into those areas. And I don't think one would have to think too hard to maybe figure out why some members may not be going into certain Republican areas. But there are people doing it not only in Illinois, but in other places throughout the country. I would say that yes, Democrats are filled with anxiety, and that the Democrats who are elected to public office are filled with just as much anxiety. But that does not mean that they are not working the process. There are people who went over to Wisconsin and knocked on doors and did whatever they could do to try and help elect the Supreme Court justice who was just elected. There are people, I went to Wisconsin 3 times during the election for president myself. And I took busloads of people with me when I went. And so people are doing different things and doing them in different ways. Now, all of us don't get all of the information about everything that goes on and everything that is being done. But I think Democrats, we just had our caucus meeting on yesterday, where we got reports from around the country in terms of what Democrats have been doing. All of the Democrats have been holding meetings, having rallies, marching around buildings, doing the things that you do. Now, that doesn't mean that they can call for an election to be held tomorrow and that they can go and vote somebody out tomorrow. But they hope, and we hope, to be able to vote some people out as the election comes. But we are trying to, our strategy is to get Democrats back in the majority.
Right.
To try and force the judiciary to make their rulings based upon what the law says. And it seems that President Trump is willing to challenge every law that he does not like.
He's breaking the law.
Which means that it gets to the courts to end up making money that has already been appropriated.
Right.
For example, $750 million taken from Northwestern's research activities, $150 million taken from health programs that had already been appropriated and promised. Money for early childhood education that the grantees were wondering up to the day for them to meet payroll, whether or not all of these are decisions that the government and that the Dodge people under a non-governmental official have been making. We're challenging all of that. And we have challenged it all. And we're going to keep on challenging it all. We're going to keep on organizing people and convincing people so that when there is time for an election, that they will come out and vote. It's not wasted on us that Donald Trump got 46.3% of the vote in Illinois. That was we're a blue state. We want to remain a blue state. We think that we've had a governor who has stood up and continues to stand up. We have a mayor that has stood up and continues to stand up. And we're fighting every single day, every day, to try and keep Donald Trump in check and prevent him from being able to implement many of these draconian, unbelievable, ridiculous ideas that he is laying in front of the American people. Those things are happening, probably not enough, not as much as some people think should be, but I think keep on pushing and keep on pushing us. We understand the frustration. Linda, are you there?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Oh, I mentioned that online a couple of days ago about the Medicare, about the money, and him raising the how you say the age up. I said it was at 65, then it went to 62, then now 67, and he want to raise it up some more. I said that ain't fair.
Well, let me agree with you, because I believe that part of the scheme about Social Security, someone said it a few minutes ago. Just think if you were to privatize this activity, then wealthy money investors and money handlers would be the ones representing or doing business with millions of people. And of course, they would make an additional millions and millions and millions of dollars for themselves. I am totally opposed to the privatization of Social Security. I am totally opposed to privatizing the Postal Service. I am absolute in favor of keeping unions intact with collective bargaining ability and bargaining power. And I think we can get back to it because there are many individuals like yourself who are not willing to concede 1 inch of what it has taken years and years and years to get to. And we often say, no, we're not going back. And we certainly are not going back without a big fight. So
yep, and they lost it, and then they lost a lot of money all around the world. That 20,000.
Yeah, that's
they
true.
Were for business only, and a lot of people signed up that unemployment office.
All right, and we'll go to another person so that they get a chance to get in. Willie House.
Yes, and I applaud the American people for standing up, rallying, making their voices heard. I applaud that. What I don't applaud is the DOJ, the Department of Justice, the Supreme Court, who has held him in contempt of court twice, and he's still sitting up there instead of being thrown in jail. What's happening with that?
I think there's going to be ultimate adjudication. You see, and there are people who say that we are experiencing a constitutional crisis. Ultimately, when that occurs, they're talking about situations where something has to give. Well, we don't want that something to be any kind of armed conflict. But there are those of us who predicted or who challenged when the campaigning was going on that this is what a Trump administration would mean.
But you know what,
it would mean.
Representative Davis, what I'm saying is he feels he's above the law because he wasn't convicted of those 34 counts. Now he's in office and he's going against the Constitution and going against the Supreme Court's ruling, and yet he's still sitting there destroying things instead of being handcuffed and thrown up under the jail. Look at mayors and governors and representatives that have been thrown up in the jail for less than what he's doing. But yet he's still sitting up there, destroying the democracy in this country, destroying the lives of people who had jobs and now losing homes and can't feed their children. And yet he's still sitting there and nobody is doing anything.
We got to keep putting pressure on the Supreme Court to do the right thing. Now, they don't have to listen, but you would hope that they would listen to the oath that they took when they got sworn in as attorneys and the oath that they took when they got sworn in as a justice on the court, that they would follow the law. Nobody's
Well, you know what?
asking them.
You know what?
Nobody's
The courts,
asking them to
period,
do anything other than that.
the courts, period, should have followed the law when he was convicted with those 34 counts. He should have been up under the jail then. Even
Yeah,
though he
that
was
may
one, they should have handcuffed him and put him up under. Everybody knew he was going into the office with a vendetta against against America. Everybody knew that. It's been said by every politician that was out there during the election time. But yet he still went to the White House. He's still violating the law. He's still thumbing his nose up at the Supreme Court, and he's still sitting there destroying other people's lives. So what's wrong with that? Something wrong with that picture.
Everything is wrong with it, but the only way to really fight it is through the processes of public interaction and public exchange.
Well, by the time
putting enough pressure on
the country, he already got every ally that was with America against America now because of his actions.
Yep.
And the rich richer.
So we got to change it. So we got to change it. We've got to get grassroots people who have not been involved.
Throw them in jail.
Yeah, well, we don't have the power to throw him in jail.
Supreme Court do.
The Supreme Court does, but the Supreme Court is agreeing with him half the time. So we just got to keep working every day. We won't change it overnight, but we're holding them back. We're holding them back. When a bill comes up on the floor of the House, that's a very important, meaningful bill. They don't always know that they're going to be able to get it passed, even though they have the majority. And so we're not as bad off as we think. I mean, we're bad off, but we've still got room. I've seen athletic events where they go into the last 2 or 3 minutes and a team is 8 or 9 points behind and they don't give up. They keep fighting, they keep trying, and lo and behold, sometimes they win. So let me get to another person so that Richard can get in. Richard, are you there?
I'm Rick Welch, also known. Are you saying me or somebody?
RCHHRD.
That's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. Congressman Davis, I'm going to speak about the Social Security, like the other Richard had issues with. I'm having the same issues. I applied for my Social Security in January as well. However, I am getting it. But I had some child support issues, and that came up when I applied for Social Security. So they started taking child support out of my check. However, all of my child support has been paid since 2021, and they're still taking it out of my Social Security check. I've been up to that office almost every day. I went to each office to pull all my Social Security payments.
You went up to which office?
On 99th and Western.
Okay, but I'm saying you went to the child support office, or you went?
No, I went to the Social Security office and took them all the evidence that it was paid.
I tell you what, let us try to help you with that. Sometimes records don't get every place that records need to be. In terms of every agency having the information, they shouldn't be taking money. If you paid all your back child support, then somebody should have a record that has been paid. And that information gets to Social Security, then they can correct their records and make sure that they stop taking money from you that they should not be taken.
Okay, Congressman.
That is something we may be able to help you with.
I've called child support. They faxed over the information. I even talked to the supervisor. She said she don't see it, and they gave me the timestamp for each time it was faxed the email. They still haven't corrected it.
All right, then we have to keep, you know what? I sometimes will call an office 8 or 10 times before I get the person I'm trying to get. But I don't stop. I keep calling until I get the person that I'm trying to get.
Congressman, I've talked to this. I can give you the supervisor name, Sergeant. What's her
Well,
name?
don't give it to us on the phone here. Just call us.
Well, that's how irritated I am. And
give us the information, and we can see if there's someone that we might be able to talk with that can make sure that information gets to the right place and they can correct their records.
Okay,
we can
so
try to do that for you. Our number is 773 533 7520.
Who do I need to speak with?
Marquita.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Archer, Urban Farm Ministries.
Yes, hi, my name is Steve Archer. I'm an urban farmer in the city. I'm also a disabled veteran, and I receive Social Security disability income. I think that we have an issue of unification, and we need to use the bully pulpit so that we can activate more people, because this is not just something where they're just attacking one thing. I'm aware that they're firing people from Hines VA, from nurses to the staff that answers the phone. They're removing the safety net for the country. And the reason is that it is easier to control people who are panicked and unorganized. If we fail to plan, we should plan to fail. And as we talk about meetings and gatherings and coming together, we should be talking about mutual aid, because we are all still paying into this system. And so I understand that the purpose of this call is Social Security, but it's sort of like, as you mentioned, some of the, you can't get blood from a turnip. I always love that one. My grandfather used that one a lot. We have to remember that the trick of a magician is distraction. And so as they're distracting us with one hand, right, we're not paying attention to them having their hand in our pocket and other places. So our unified effort, in my opinion, sir, is that we need to try to figure out a way to activate as many people as possible so that everybody is watching. And we cannot lose our safety nets, because unfortunately, human beings will turn on each other when we are in distress. And right now, there's so many, right? There's so many people in distress right now that we have to figure out a way perhaps to do mutual aid. And from your bully pulpit, you might be able to help us to gather those resources. I've worked with Father Flager over at St. Sabina's Church, and I grow food and I give it away.
The last 35, 40 years.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man, and we're working on peace activism, but at the same time, we are trying to feed people. And as these programs are being cut, people don't realize that the Illinois Eats program, which was giving boxes of food to people, healthy food that's nutrient dense, fresh organic stuff, we were giving to people who were in need. But because a federal program got cut, that trickle down stopped.
You are so correct.
They haven't stopped collecting money from us. As a farmer, a lot of those farmers down south who voted for Trump didn't realize that when their businesses are organized under their wives, that 52% of this DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, includes women of all races, colors, and creeds. So they were receiving special treatment under DEI, but because they didn't understand what that meant, they didn't understand that they were going to lose that access. And now that they've lost that access, there's nobody in the office for them to call, whether it's IRS or Social Security. So this is a multi-pronged attack, and we have to treat it as such. If we wait for responses through the justice system, we know that the justice system for years, they've been stacking the courts at the lower levels with Republican leaning, right leaning individuals who don't believe that the roads that lead to their businesses were built by the people.
Thank you
that their
so much.
businesses
And I really need to try and get 2 or 3 other people in before we have to end the day. But thank you so much. We appreciate you, and everything that you said, I agree. And we're doing all of it.
Just say
What
we
about
just pray.
Pardon?
We need to pray. That's the one thing.
We do need to pray. My daddy used to tell us when we'd be chopping cotton and hoping that the rain was going to come at the right time. And we said, Daddy, we're going to pray. He said, yeah, pray for a good harvest, but keep on chopping. Sheila, Miss Sheila, what's up?
Hi, Honorable Congressman. How are you today?
Okay.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and thank you so much for bringing this together. I'm not on Social Security yet, but I will be in a few short years, and most of my family members are. My concern today is what I'm hearing is that your constituents really want to wrap their arms around this issue and do something. And I just want to share a couple of points that I've asked my family to do. And maybe this can be a hand, or maybe if you could use me or assist, I'm willing to do that because I've got 30 plus years organizing. Number one, I've asked them to get an account on the Social Security website and make copies of what they owe, what is theirs, and have access to said Social Security in case something happens to that site. Number two, I've asked them to write letters and send postcards to the president's office, call that office, saying how important Social Security is to you and what you need to do. I've also asked them to follow up with their elected officials and let them know how important this issue is to them and how they must need it. And then finally, we're looking, because we're a large family, 500 plus first cousins, and daddy's number 29 of 30, mommy was number 10 of 17. We're trying to organize as to see what is the best way that we can help our family, because we're in 47 of 50 states. This issue is impacting us big time. How can we organize such that we can help eliminate this issue so it doesn't impact us any further? We know that the challenges, so we're sharing some of the issues because we've got folks who are on Social Security and the process that it takes. But we also need to understand what we can do and try to understand how we can each help one another. So I would advise and I would ask that we come together as a constituent in the 7th Congressional District and share best practices so that each of us will know how best to move forward, how best we can take action, because we've got to attack it in many ways. So letter writing to your newspapers, putting information on social media, hitting Trump at his office, letting our congressmen know, and getting your information from the Social Security website is helping us. But if there are some other things out there that we're missing, we'd like to hear from you. Thank you.
No, I think that all of the things that you've mentioned, and the best way that I know to influence public opinion is to do all of the things that we do. And you also have to make sure that when you get an opportunity to decide who is going to be where, then you got to make sure that you try to put those individuals there. Because I'd much rather have somebody in place on my side already than to try and convince somebody that's not on my side to be on my side. If you're already on my side, we cool. But if I got to try to convince you, then I got to do a whole bunch of other stuff. I think people made a mistake in getting somebody. Obviously, it wasn't us, but it was some of us. 46.3%, that's a whole lot. Out of 100, that's a whole lot. And so I think there were people who made some mistakes and made some errors, but so be it. Rick.
Congressman Davis, thank you for the town hall. I know it's presumptuous of me, but would you hold your hands up in front of the camera so all the constituents may see them? Your hands, yes, sir. No, right in front of the camera. All my fellow constituents, those are field hands, working hands. And he himself working for 30 cents with a college degree in his back pocket. But I want to agree with you, sir. The Social Security system, to me, it is the most second important right behind voting. And it is all of us, the strong, to take care of the infirm, the elderly, and of course, the weak, especially children, until they're able to stand alone. And that is from origination. You get paid PIA, that's primary insurance amount. Currently, it is $3,426 a month. That's a tremendous amount of money for what I earned when I first started my employment. I mean, you could live on that. At least I'm a little bit conservative. However, what the problem is, I think, is that all of these Social Security workers and lawyers tell you to hold off, and if you accept less than your $3,462 a month, they take that and assign it to the Social Security Judgment Trust that only lawyers can partake in. And so, well, just an example, I have relatives in Louisiana, I have relatives in Arkansas, and they get way less, with less than $1,000 a month there in those two states. So what we need to do, this is my suggestion and what I have done, is I filed to claim or return this judgment trust, Social Security Judgment Trust, to control of the Social Security Administration for payment of benefits. So everybody in the nation gets $3,426 a month. Now, of that 19 some odd trillion dollars that it is currently, because I filed in the court for the whistleblowers and inspector generals, I get to claim $4.2 trillion to be put in the Treasury Bank in Chicago. For me, it's the Whistleblowers Award. And so what I have here is several of the forms, and I will provide them to you if your office, if you want, or anybody wants to file. You see, it's filed 2010. Yes, it's taken me a long time, 2010. And I filed it with the authority of the Chief Justice and of FBI Director, then Robert S. Mueller. This is the cover sheet for all of it. And each individual citizen, if you do not start receiving your $3,462 a month, you fill this out. What they'll try and do is, you can't do it yourself. You need to trust a lawyer. You don't. You don't ask a lawyer who you're going to vote for, do you? Well, I should hope not. We vote individually. And I will provide this with you, Congressman, and you can distribute them to your constituents. And what you do is, you fill out your Social Security and you claim your PIA. And then you put the individual Social Security employer's name there, and of course, your name and everything else. I've already claimed the Social Security Judgment Trust, so I get the whistleblowers and inspector generals awards and protections. I I will provide this if you want. My point is that just as you say, it's us, the individual worker, the strong. Hey, I still consider myself strong, even though I'm collecting Social Security. That we pledge, past, present, and future, to take care of the aged, the infirm, and of course, children. Which means if you collect Medicaid, disability, your disability is not calculated on how much you deserve, but $3,462 a month. And you can make it happen, sir. But the important thing is all of my fellow constituents of the 7th District, remember, you, as an individual, as a voter, can make it happen just by filing the IG and whistleblower complaints. At the very least, you'll get 4,000, what is it? $3,462 a month. And again, I'm dedicated to voting for you. You are a hard worker. I don't know if any of you out there have ever worked a field, and you have accepted that long road to hoe of raising everybody up to economic equality, educational equality, and always in unity. Thank you, Congressman Davis.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And if individuals would like to get that information, and if we get it, we'll make it available to you. So if you want to get that information, please let us know. There was someone that I saw a moment ago from the Erie Family Health Center. Are you still there?
Hi, Representative. Yes, my name is Dalia Galvan. I work at Erie Family Health Centers, which is a community health center part of the safety net. In the 7th District, we care for over 19,000 patients. And next year, we're hoping to add another 6,000 patients at a new health center on Madison Street and Kildare Avenue. So most of the people that we care for are on Medicaid. About 67 to 70% of them are on Medicaid and about 20% are uninsured. My question really is around the leaked budget that we saw a couple of days ago from HHS that proposes some cuts to essential programs that community health centers rely on to provide care to patients. And also about, just wanted to get your thoughts or updates around conversations on any potential cuts to Medicaid and really how we can help you continue advocating for our patients and our community members as part of the community health center movement.
Well, let me thank you. And I don't think I get my health care at the Miles Square Health Center. And I am fortunate to have been involved with the health centers back from the day when there were only 10 of those in the United States of America, and 3 of those 10 were in Chicago, and I worked for one of them. So I've been involved with the community health center effort for many, many years, and used to be president of the National Association of Community Health Centers, and helped organize it and helped get it started. Now, fortunately, there are 1,400 of those in the United States and a few more on the drawing board. Any cuts in any kind of way, these centers provide medical services and health care to more than 30 million people in the country. And so when they cut Medicaid, it won't be just affecting one center like Erie, which is an outstanding program that I've been fortunately to be engaged with, even to the point at one time of helping to establish a program that they ran to train physicians in family medicine. So there's no bigger fan of the federally qualified health centers in the United States of America than I am. And every dime that is taken from Medicaid, any quarter, any 50 cent, any dollar, and of course the millions and billions that people are talking about cutting would be disastrous to low and moderate income people who use the services of these centers. We have 12 of them in the 7th district alone, and we have a couple of others that are hoping to come. So I want to thank you for your call, because they are super important, but they also provide great health care. Some people think these centers only provide care for the poor and for individuals who can't hardly walk or can't hardly see. I've been getting my health care, my personal health care, at the Mile Square Health Center for more years than I can remember. And of course, I also used to work there a long time ago. And so thank you for your call. And we are delighted to try and protect every dime of Medicaid that we can get our hands on. We always say, don't mess with Social Security, don't mess with Medicaid, don't mess with SNAP, don't mess with any of these programs. Social Security, for example, is the largest anti-poverty program in the United States of America. And if we didn't have Social Security, someone mentioned that we may run out of Social Security. Well, I tell you what, if we do, none of us will probably still be around at that time. The Social Security Trust Fund is in good shape. Plus, we've got time to change it even before, or put some more resources into it, or do whatever we need to do to it before the actuarians who make these predictions and so forth and pronouncements, and they probably would be right, except that you can change things long before it gets to that point. And so the idea is that if nothing changes, that is it. I don't know if these are hands that kind of repeat or not.
Congressman, this
yes.
is Marquita.
Yes.
I need for Mr. Welch, if he can email me that information that he had shared with everyone.
I'm sure he hear you, and I'm sure he will do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Was there anyone that we missed?
Yes, me. This is
Yes,
Rosalind.
ma'am.
Okay, so my husband and I have an adult severely disabled son. He's 38 years old, but really is kind of like a 3-year-old, and we adore him, of course. But we're terrified he's going to lose Medicaid. I just wanted to share that with you. We're both in our 70s, so we're not going to be around forever. And obviously, we're very, very concerned on what's going to happen, for someone like him that really needs a lot of care.
Well, let me definitely say that we would be so upset with that. And I am certain that the advocates for disabled individuals would tell you if you didn't already know.
We do know.
I am one of the foremost advocates for individuals with disabilities in the United States of America. And
Actually, we know that, and we've talked to you before, and we do appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you. And we're going to hope that we don't get to that point, and we'll do everything that we can possibly do. You know, a lot of people think that Medicaid is only for individuals who fit one category of whatever. But Medicaid pays for a number of things. And if you took away or reduced nursing homes, if we don't have the appropriate Medicaid appropriation and money in Medicaid, your home is going to become a nursing home for your relatives if they are in need of nursing care as they age. Your home will have to become the nursing home. As I mentioned when I came home, I was just coming from a nursing home, and it is a good nursing home, a wonderful nursing home. And I was pleased to be there with the individuals. When I was an alderman, I used to spend lots of Sunday afternoons at a particular nursing home singing songs. Well, I wouldn't be singing because I can't sing, but the individuals who could sing, they would be singing. We'd be kind of listening to each other right up there at Jackson Square. I happen to have been a part of a group. We built that nursing home. We built it when I was a member of the board of the Christian Action Ministry. We named it the Jackson Square. It's no longer named Jackson Square, but Carol Mosley Brown's mother was there. My aunt was there. My wife's aunt was there.
Well, that's probably why it was so good then. I bet it's not good now.
Well, things don't always remain
Yeah, I know.
the same, but we try and push them hard and try and make sure that they are in compliance with the state regs and regulations. Anybody else? Well, let me thank all of us. And I want to thank Marquita, who works Social Security for us. If you've got a Social Security question or a Social Security problem or something that you need to know, you can give us a call and ask for Marquita Smith, and she ought to be able to answer you. Or if she don't have an answer, get you an answer. And we pride ourselves that there is no category of citizens that we represent that gets more of our attention, or that we spend more time trying to make sure that we meet what needs of theirs that we can than our senior population. So we thank all of you. Thank you so much for participating, calling in, for your
Congressman,
your answers. Yes, and your
I have a comment to make.
Yes, Delia. Galvin.
No, Jordan.
Jordan. Mr. Jordan, please go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I agree with you in terms of all of your opposition to the cuts for Social Security, Medicaid, and all those other things. My comment also deals with, I would like for the Congress to start initiating a process where we can limit the term of the Supreme Court. Nobody should have a lifetime position because with their age, they outlive whatever is presently going on. So, somebody needs to start a bill, something, in order to limit the terms of the Supreme Court. We know how it's constructed now, so, you know, that would eliminate all of that situation.
Just to agree with you, I would say I'm in favor of trying to figure out a way to get additional representation on the Supreme Court. I don't know that they outlive too much. I think that they get elected and they really get placed by individuals who think a certain way. I'm saying members got put on the Supreme Court that Barack nominated, but individuals got put on the Supreme Court that Trump nominated. And who we always say that elections have consequences. People got put on the Supreme Court that Biden nominated. And I say that elections, while we hope that people would be as objective as they can, but they also come with certain thoughts and ideas when they come.
Because I think the allegiance is. Go ahead.
There you go. No, you're going right where I was going.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think the allegiance is basically to the person that nominated or saw fit that they got on the Supreme Court.
And if they didn't think that, they never would have nominated them.
Absolutely. If we limit the terms, then that allegiance can only go from 8 to 10 years. I mean, you know, you're going to continue to pay homage or pay duty to somebody that put you on there 20 years ago, 30 years ago? No. That needs to change.
There are some people who would follow the rule of law. There are some people. I mean, that, you know, I used to have a preacher, pastor, my buddy, and every time he got through preaching and opened the doors of the church, he would say, I have done my duty. I have given you the best that I could give. And he'd say, if Israel never repents, Jacob won't lose his reward. And he would say, all of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And I'm saying we put our trust in people that we help get in place. I'm saying when I vote for somebody, I don't really consider myself voting for them. I consider myself voting for myself because I believe in them. And I believe they're going to do more of what I would like to see done than somebody else. And that is the basis upon which I cast my vote. And so I think when presidents appoint people to positions and places, that they will have done what we call vetted them. They will have looked at everything they can look at. They've looked at under the closet, and they've asked other people about them. I've had the good fortune to be appointed to some by 2 presidents of the United States, so I kind of know how that process goes. Bill Clinton appointed me to something, and he asked one neighbor of mine some questions about me. My neighbor liked to drink a little whiskey. And so he said, let me tell you what they asked. Say, give me another little taste. but they do vet They vet people. And I'm afraid that when these people get appointed to the Supreme Court, whoever nominated them feel like they're going to carry out their wishes. I agree with you. We can limit the term, and we could possibly add some more people to the court. I am not opposed to adding 2 or 3 additional people to the court. Well, we've kept you a long time. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you being on. We have some more of these things coming up. We do this all the time. We have all kind of different things, and even those individuals who think we don't do enough, we agree with them. If we could do some more, I wish there was 30 hours in the day. Then rather than doing stuff just 20, we could do 30, but they're only 24. And we do what we can, as much as we can, as long as we can, any way that we can. And we thank you for being a part of this particular discussion. And what we do after the discussion is what really counts. So thank you again. Have a wonderful day. And we'll see you at some time else soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey.
Thank you. Sorry I was late. I just got
You
in.
made it.
Yeah. Is there going to be a transcript? Does anybody know? A transcript of the meeting that just took place?
I may call her if it's not 5 o'clock.
No, there will be no transcript. That was explained at the beginning.
Okay, Miss Smith. Maybe I can email you. I just came in from the doctor, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay then.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, be safe.
All right. Thank you, everyone. God bless.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Congressman Davis. Thank you, Maquita.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for all your.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's see.
Hey, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how to cut this thing off.
Teresa Hill.
There it is. I can't never get this thing. Are you still there? Mm-hmm.
So